The precise details of their origins are lost to us. But it is said the Valyrians were once a modest community of shepherds, tending their flocks on a small peninsula of the great eastern continent. One fateful day, in a volcanic area known as the 14 Fires, they made a shattering discovery. Dragons.
Hey everybody, it's Charlie. Really awesome Game of Thrones related news. Season 8, the prequel series, in a possible second prequel series. So we gotta break all this down. If you're finding me for the first time, there's a new round of that 4K Blu-ray giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on the video. YouTube changed a couple features, so there's new details about how the giveaways work at the end of this video. Just had to make a couple minor changes in the way that I communicate with you guys. So biggest thing first, the Long Night prequel series that was confirmed might be shooting as soon as October. If it went well, then HBO would move forward on shooting the rest of the episodes. Just because the pilot has been greenlit doesn't mean that they picked the show up to series. Remember, normal series on HBO about 10 episodes. They said that they're spending about the same amount of money for the same scale and the same grandeur as the main show is right now, so they want to make sure that everything looks amazing before they give away $100 million to the people that are producing all these different series. If you've been following the series for a long time, especially production, you're probably not surprised to hear that they'll be filming in a lot of the same locations that they filmed the main series. It's going to take place in Westeros just a couple thousand years before the events on the main show, so the terrain will look a little bit different, but not that different. I don't know if we're going to actually see the cracking of Westeros during the War with the First Men, because that precedes the Long Night by quite a bit. We might hear legends of the cracking of the Arm of Dorne. There are just a lot of big geological events caused by the Children of the Forest in their pursuit of getting rid of the First Men before they signed their pact. There was actually a second time that they tried to crack Westeros in half with the Hammer of Waters on the Isle of Faces, but it didn't work. Like, they were actually trying to keep the First Men out of the north. So their last-ditch attempt, which failed, was to crack Westeros in half again. Maybe if they decide to do flashbacks on the prequel series, then we'll see a version of that. Remember the story about why they waited a couple extra months to start filming Season 7, which contributed to the extra delay, which also led to further delays on Season 8 getting out, because they needed to wait for winter to come to places where they were filming scenes where it would traditionally be summer? Same climate with the Long Night prequel series, because they're heading into the never-ending winter on that series. Separately, there was a report from the Iron Bank, aka AT&T, which just bought Time Warner, and said that HBO needed to start earning more money by becoming more broadly popular around the world. So imagine in this equation, AT&T just bought Time Warner owns HBO, so AT&T is like the new Iron Bank. Their version of Tycho Nestoris claimed that HBO was not earning enough money, so HBO is terrified of a time without Game of Thrones, because Game of Thrones, just to give you an idea of how much more popular it is maybe like 10 times more popular than any other series HBO has done the last couple of years. The majority of the new subscribers that Game of Thrones brings in only subscribe for Game of Thrones, meaning when the show's not on, they bail. HBO misses out on hundreds of millions of dollars in subscription money. AT&T does not like that. Henceforth, that's why they're pushing to get this prequel series out the year after Season 8 airs. So tentatively pencil in April-May 2020 for the premiere date for that first prequel series. Now that assumes that everything goes well with this first pilot. Then you have the 3 other pilots that they're working on. There's a rumor now that because of this AT&T issue, like them telling HBO, you need to start earning way more money, that HBO is feeling pressured to release 2 Game of Thrones prequel series concurrently, meaning you would get 20 weeks of Game of Thrones to feed your addiction instead of the normal 10, because normal season HBO has about 10 episodes. This morning, some news outlets were reporting that the other second Game of Thrones prequel that they were developing, wait for it, this will sound familiar, was called Empire of Ash. What does that remind you of? Ancient Valyria. So for those of you that were really hoping that they would do an Ancient Valyria series, it sounds like that's definitely one of the other pilots, but they haven't greenlit any of the other ones yet. So remember, the one that's going to be filming in October, they were talking about that a while ago. There's been no talk of any of the others moving forward yet, but if the name is starting to leak out on this other one, it sounds like it's their second best option. So if they actually move forward on this, they film the pilot early next year, then, similar production schedule, 8 to 10 months to get the entire season out, it probably wouldn't be ready to go until 2021. So imagine season 8 airs in 2019, the year after that, we get the Long Night prequel series begins, we get 7 seasons of that. They also might be pressured to release that second series concurrently. So in a couple years, we might actually have 20 weeks of Game of Thrones. There's actually a description that was released for this Valyrian series, so I don't know how authentic this is, so take it with a grain of salt, but it says it will explore the social, economic, and political crisis which tore apart the Valyrian Empire from within. Much like on Game of Thrones, political factions will battle for supremacy while a larger existential threat looms on the horizon. So think of the White Walkers, the Night King, that big threat that's been forming the last several seasons on Game of Thrones main series, as being the doom on this Valyrian series. It will all be sliding downhill. I think it was a couple years ago, I actually did a couple videos on the causes of the doom of Valyria. There are natural geological reasons for why it happened, but there's also this magical connotation because magic exists in Game of Thrones. You have to imagine that series would feel a little bit more like HBO's Rome, this grand empire that was in a state of decline, headed for this giant catastrophe. But at the same time, because it's ancient Valyria, there are dragons everywhere, covering the sky. There are references to Aenar Targaryen and his daughter, Daenerys the Dreamer, the one that actually dreamt about the doom, the cause for the Targaryens leaving for Dragonstone and surviving the actual doom itself. So right now, it seems like those are our two best options for the prequel series, The Long Night, which seems like it will premiere in 2020, and then this Ancient Valyria series, which could premiere a little while after that. But I would be blown away if both of these end up airing at the same time. What I think is more likely is if this Long Night TV series is strong enough, they'll just air that for, say, 5 seasons, then overlap a little bit with another series. So even though they're talking about doing a prequel series right now, they'll do more series after this next prequel series is over. This is assuming that it's successful and it runs for another 5 to 7 seasons too. So you have to imagine that there'll be 14 or 15 more years of Game of Thrones minimum. There's a whole lot of stuff to unpack in all this news. HBO hasn't officially confirmed this Ancient Valyria series, so I'll do a new video when they do, but leave all your requests in the comments below. Congratulations to the latest giveaway winner, Joe Weaver. Please email me on the back end of my channel. You can find the contact information there. YouTube just up and got rid of that messaging tool, so if you need to contact me about giveaway stuff, you do it using that email. So while you wait for everything, click here for that Arya Stark teaser, and click here to listen to Jaime Lannister talk about Season 8. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.